Welcome back, you guys. This is your second stimulus check and second stimulus package update for Saturday, August the 8th. And, happy Saturday, you guys. And we're going to jump right into it. We're going to jump right into the questions that everyone wants to know. Number one, has a deal been reached yet? The next thing we're going to jump into is, when will stimulus checks be sent out? Everybody wants to know the answer to that. And are the Democrats and Republicans actually coming together? And finally, we're going to touch on what are the actual action steps that President Trump is going to take in the event that Congress doesn't pass a stimulus package. So we're going to touch on all of those things. But first, I just want to say welcome back to all my subscribers. Couldn't do this thing without you guys. And I just want to say thank you guys for being here. We're 90,000 family members strong. I appreciate every one of you guys. For those of you guys who are brand new to the channel, my name is Ron. We cover all things personal finance, investing, and how to develop multiple streams of income. So if you are interested in any of that, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Also, those of you guys who have landed new jobs, let's keep the trend going strong. Wherever you found your new job, drop us a comment down below and let us know where you're working and how you found your job. Drop the website down below. A lot of people have been finding jobs in the comments, so we're leveraging our family. Let's keep it going forward, you guys. So anyway, let's jump right into it. So the question is, when will the second stimulus checks be sent out? Now, according to U.S. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin, the IRS, who oversees printing the checks and getting the checks out, they would actually start printing the checks the following week if Donald Trump were to sign a stimulus package into law. And of course, this would be great news in the event that a stimulus package was actually passed. Now, when is the second stimulus check coming? Now, Congress did not actually finalize a stimulus package on Friday. They promised us that we would get a stimulus package on Friday. That unfortunately did not materialize. And it left a lot of people wondering, well, are we even going to get a second stimulus check? The way I see it is, this does not mean that we're not going to see a second stimulus check. But what it does mean is that the August 7th unofficial deadline that they gave us obviously hasn't been reached. Obviously, they haven't come through on their promise to reach a deal by August 7th, but it doesn't mean that we're not going to see one. So essentially, we're just going to be a little bit delayed. So are the Democrats and the Republicans coming together? Now, if you guys remember, back in May, the House of Representatives, which is majority Democrats, they went ahead and passed the 3.4 approximately trillion dollar HEROES Act. And in this HEROES Act, there was a $1,200 stimulus check, as well as a number of other things within this package. Now, 2 weeks ago, Mitch MCConnell came to us and he provided a $1,200 stimulus check inside of the $1 trillion HEALS Act that he presented. And we were roughly having a $2 trillion gap in between where the Democrats and the Republicans were in terms of the total size of the stimulus package. As of Thursday, Democratic House Speaker Nancy Pelosi came to the table and said, hey, you know what? We're originally asking $3.4 trillion for our HEROES Act. We'll discount our $3.4 trillion HEROES Act down by $1 trillion, effectively making the New Deal $2.4 trillion. We will do this if you guys will raise your HEROES Act budget up from $1 trillion up to $2 trillion. So effectively at that point, you would have the Senate at $2 trillion and you would have the House at $2.4 trillion. So that is a much more manageable spread if we could come to that agreement. Basically, the Democrats are like, hey, we'll come down $1 trillion if you Republicans will come up $1 trillion. So that's effectively what the deal is. When Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin was asked about this by reporters on Friday, he said that this is a non-starter. Now, the question that I have for you guys, is this a step in the right direction? The Democrats demanded a $3.4 trillion HEROES Act stimulus package up until yesterday. And this is the very first time that we've seen the Democrats negotiate from their stance at all since the HEROES Act was passed in May. And if you recall, earlier this week, the Republicans offered a temporary extension on the $600 federal unemployment insurance benefits. In my opinion, what we're seeing here is that we're seeing a little bit of negotiation starting to open up from the House standpoint. From a Democratic standpoint, we're seeing a little bit of loosening up from the Republican standpoint. We don't have a deal yet, but I do think that we're seeing them start to open up and kind of relax a little bit and become a little bit more willing to negotiate. Because up until this point, we've heard offers, but we really haven't seen any negotiations. I think that these are some actual negotiations starting. So, maybe we're starting to see that materialize. And you guys got to remember, it's not like the Democrats and the Republicans don't agree on anything. What's most important to the people? The Democrats and the Republicans are, for the most part, they're agreeing on some of the bigger key points that are most important to the people. Those are, the Democrats and Republicans both agree that $1,200 stimulus checks need to go out. They both agree that something needs to be done regarding evictions. We have millions of Americans that are literally on the verge of being evicted, and there's no legal protection for them at this point in time. Both the Democrats and the Republicans recognize this, and they want to do something about it. Those are two key issues that they are in agreement on. The other thing is that they both agree that unemployment assistance is needed. And now, granted, they're not seeing eye to eye on exactly how much federal unemployment insurance assistance needs to be prolonged or extended. However, they both do agree that the insurance does need to be provided. Democrats want to provide $600 per week. Republicans, as of recently, want to provide $400 per week. That's not a big spread. So we're getting closer. If we continue to see a little bit more alignment and go down this road, we could see something soon. I think that these are the biggest, most critical items for Americans right now. I mean, there's probably anywhere between 100 and maybe 300 different line items in that bill. But as far as, the average American's concerned, most people don't care about those other things. These are the biggest things. And if I'm totally off base, you guys drop me a comment down below. Let me know. But I feel like, if we can just get a bill at a minimum, even if it's not this total massive package, I mean, can we at least get a bill passed that addresses these three line items, at least, then they could take their time negotiating the remainder of the items that they're not seeing eye to eye on. That's just my take. Hey, let me know what you guys think. So when the Democrats offered to drop the package down from 3.4 to 2.4 trillion dollars, you got to be asking yourself, where exactly do these cost reductions come from? And basically, in order to do that, they're looking at reducing the duration of some of these benefits, as well as cutting back on some of the food assistance. So that's where the majority of this reduction's coming from, in order for the Dems to be able to drop it down by that $1 trillion mark. Now, when Mark Meadows from the White House was asked if the trade-off that Pelosi was floating in, was it in the cards? And he said, I don't think so. He said, I don't know that that's much of a reduction, as much as she's changing the timeframes. So I don't think that she's come off her number, other than making it shorter. Now, that's coming straight from Mark Meadows from the White House. Now, according to Chuck Schumer, he said that the White House strongly rejected the idea of the $2 trillion stimulus package that was offered by the Democrats. You should have seen their faces. Absolutely not. Basically, what's happening is Mr. Meadows is from the Tea Party. They don't want to spend the necessary money. They rejected it totally. So let's just pretend that nothing even happens between the Democrats and the Republicans. No negotiation can come to an agreement. What's our next course of action? Well, President Trump has stepped up, and he has basically said that, there are actions that he will take if the stimulus package does not get passed by Congress. So you might be asking yourselves, well, what are the actions that President Trump is going to take, right? So we've looked into that. And according to the White House negotiators are saying that talks with the Democrats have basically fallen apart in terms of the stimulus package. And they are actually recommending that President Donald Trump sign a series of executive orders as early as this weekend on a number of programs aimed at helping Americans. So that's what we're hearing directly from them. All right, now here's a direct quote from Steve Mnuchin. He said that the president would like us to make the deal, but unfortunately we did not make any progress. He also said that the chief and I will recommend to the president, based on our lack of activity today, to move forward with some executive orders. So Steve Mnuchin said that he's going to work with Mark Meadows, and he's going to be asking President Trump to move forward with the executive orders over the weekend. Here's one thing that's up for question. The legality of some of these orders is not quite clear. What exactly can President Trump do legally without the approval of the House and the Senate first? So according to President Trump, he said that the lawyers are actually drafting the orders and that he would be prepared to sign them by the end of the week. This is coming directly from President Trump. He did not provide an exact date. I know you guys want to know exactly when. We don't have a date on that yet, but that's what he says. He also said that my administration continues to work in good faith to reach an agreement with Democrats in Congress. Yet, tragically, Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer continue to insist on radical left-wing policies. This is all from President Trump, from his mouth to your ears. All right, guys, so really quickly, let's jump into the 4 proposals that President Trump said that he wanted to take executive action on. So number 1, all right, so unemployment was the first thing. $600 per week federal unemployment insurance benefits recently expired as of July 31st. Obviously, this left a lot of Americans in limbo in terms of, when's that next check going to come in? What's going to happen in terms of, them being able to pay your bills? It's unclear at this point if President Trump will maintain the $600 per week federal unemployment insurance benefits, or will he lower that amount? And when President Trump was asked about this, he wasn't prepared to confirm the exact amount of his federal unemployment insurance offer, but he did say that he would be extending the benefits until the end of the year. All right, so next up is evictions. The federal moratorium for evictions ended on July 24th. And of course, this puts a ton of renters at risk of being evicted. We've seen record numbers of more than 12 million rental units nationwide already missing their payments. Now, according to the president, he said he wanted to extend these protections to ensure that renters are not evicted due to the pandemic, but he did not confirm until when. But he is in support of it. We just don't know how far out he's going to extend this eviction moratorium, but he is totally in support of it. He also talked about student loans. As we know, Congress already suspended the payments for the student loans due to the virus, but the provision is actually scheduled to expire in September. On Friday, President Trump said that he's interested in extending the deferments until further notice. So that's another good sign. And the last piece was the payroll tax cut. Now, we've heard from the president for many, many months now. He's been trying to push this payroll tax cut. As of Friday, he said he's prepared to defer the payroll tax cuts until the end of the year, and that he would actually make this retroactive back to July 1st. Now, I don't see anything in here regarding executive action and stimulus checks. I wanted to see something from a presidential standpoint on whether or not he's going to pursue bypassing Congress altogether and seeing if he can get stimulus checks going out. But I don't see this listed. I don't know if that means that he can't do it, so he knows. I don't know if that means he knows he can't do it, so he doesn't even mention it. But I don't see that listed in terms of the executive order actions that he plans to take. Anyway, this is your Saturday stimulus check update. I hope that you guys got some value out of this update. If you guys have any questions, comments, drop me a comment down below. I do my best to read all the comments and I reply to as many as I can. Otherwise, if you guys haven't already, do me a favor, smash the like button if you got any value out of this video, and consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. I'll see you guys on the next one.